We begin tonight with breaking news. 2 San Antonio police officers hospitalized and in surgery after being shot on the northeast side.
And tonight, KENS 5 obtaining video of the scene as an officer raced in to rescue one of the officers who was down. Now, we want to warn you, some might find the video disturbing.
Now, in the video, you can see an officer crouched down behind a patrol vehicle with a long gun. As he remains there, you see another officer at the bottom right of the screen. It's hard to see here, but a third officer then rushes in and grabs one of the wounded officers, dragging them to safety. According to Police Chief William McManus, this was after all the gunfire came to an end.
Also tonight, Chopper 5 in the air. You can see ambulances transporting the 2 arrived at BAMC. And now to the scene of the shooting, a huge police presence as law enforcement swarmed the northeast side neighborhood. Tonight, the police chief saying his officers were lucky they were not killed.
All of this unfolded on the cul-de-sac between Alta Puerta and Amistad Pass in the Escalera subdivision. We have live team coverage tonight with Megan Reyna at BAMC, but let's begin with Alicia Neaves at the scene of the shootout. Alicia?
Witnesses describe hearing at least 50 gunshots coming from down the street right behind me. They say they live near a gun range, so they weren't thinking anything of the gunfire at first, but knew something was wrong when it just didn't stop. I understand that the children of the neighborhood play in the cul-de-sac right outside the home where this all unfolded, and another neighbor corralled the children inside as soon as the scene started getting bloody. So let me show you the scene from about just an hour ago. Police were called to a home off of Alta Puerta and Amistad Pass for a family disturbance. 2 officers arrived at about the same time and discovered that a man came to that house to get his children and at some point started to argue with his wife. The chief said the man began to douse the house with gasoline, threatening to set the home on fire. As one officer stood in the street telling all of this information to dispatch, he was shot 3 times and fell down in the cul-de-sac. The other officer was also shot. The chief said what had happened was the man barricaded himself on the 2nd floor of the home and fired out of the window at the officers with a long gun. As the first officer remained laying in the street, the other was able to run back to his patrol car, grab his gun while still under fire, and then shoot back at the suspect. He was able to shield himself behind a neighbor's car when he could not move anymore. The chief said when more officers arrived on scene, they ran toward the gunfire and rescued the injured officers. By the time they did that, the suspect surrendered and was taken into custody. Chief McManus says these domestic calls are very volatile, very dangerous because of the emotion involved, just like what we saw tonight. He said they're lucky their officers weren't killed.
Officers don't know what they're going to encounter when they're out here, and the officers' actions are predicated on the actions of the person that they're dealing with. And in this case right here, this suspect was not shot, but very well could have been. But he was well protected from his position.
The chief said the suspect does not have a criminal history in Bexar County. His name is being withheld at this time, but we do know that he will face charges including attempted capital murder. We've also learned this is the 21st officer-involved shooting involving Sapd. To learn more about how each of the injured officers is doing tonight, let's send things over to KENS 5's Megan Reyna. She joins us live from BAMC.
Well, Alicia, we know that those 2 officers at last check were still in surgery here at BAMC. Earlier when we got here to this scene, we saw a heavy police presence, several officers outside the ER, understandably wanting to know how their fellow officers are. We also have video of Chopper that shows the ambulances making their way here to BAMC to the ER. Now, Chief McManus says one of those officers was shot 3 times, 2 times in the lower extremities, 1 time in the upper extremity. This second officer was shot once in the upper extremity. Chief McManus says one officer had 7 years in the force, one had 2 years in the force. And while injuries are serious, McManus again saying that he is thankful they're alive.
But we're very fortunate tonight that we didn't have the 2 initial officers killed, and we didn't have the officers who went in to extract them injured. Very, very fortunate tonight.
And again, 2 officers being treated tonight here at BAMC for gunshot wounds. And it's very likely that Chief has already made his way here to the hospital so he can be here for those officers and their families. Reporting live from the northeast side, Megan Reyna, KENS 5.
Thank you, Megan. And as you heard Alicia mention, this is the 21st shooting this year involving a San Antonio police officer. We will continue to follow the latest on this case online on KENS5.com and on air throughout the night and into our morning newscast starting at 4:30 a.m.
Meanwhile, new tonight, we are uncovering more about the man shot and killed by police just 2 days ago. Court records confirmed the 19-year-old already had 3 felony cases against him before the deadly encounter. KENS 5 reporter Sue Kalberg dug up his records. She found that Richard Rodriguez was wanted for reportedly threatening 2 victims with a gun back in June.
Just 1 or 2 shots. There were a lot of shots that went off.
Police say 2 officers shot and killed 19-year-old Richard Rodriguez when he was running away from a traffic stop, but turned and pulled a gun on them. As it turns out, court records indicate Rodriguez has faced a weapons charge before. He was indicted and was awaiting trial for a June incident in which police say he threatened 2 victims with a gun while trying to steal from them. At the time, court records reflect Rodriguez was already on deferred adjudication for a burglary case from last year. He had entered a guilty plea and had agreed to not get into any more trouble until 2028. The woman police say also ran from the traffic stop was out on bond for previous offenses as well. 27-year-old Brittany Legree has previous charges still pending for an assault bodily injury last year and a 2021 failure to stop and render aid case. Even though a warrant was issued for her arrest in May, she wasn't picked up until this confrontation. Legree, once again, has been given a chance to get out of jail. This time, it's a $7,500 bond on that evading charge. She's due back in court for an arraignment hearing November 16th. Downtown, Sue Kalberg, KENS 5.
We have more breaking news tonight, this time from the Bexar County Jail. BCSO officials say a 52-year-old man died after being found unresponsive in the open booking area. Deputies made the discovery just after 7 this evening. BCSO says the inmate received medication for pre-existing conditions just before 5 this afternoon. He was booked on a theft charge and was waiting for his housing assignment when BCSO says he suffered a medical episode 2 hours later. The Bexar County Medical Examiner's Office will determine a cause of death. 3 kids could be facing charges tonight after police say the group stole a truck and then led police on a chase across San Antonio. It started at I-10 in Dezavala and ended on the far southwest side at Loop 410 in Quintana. Police say the truck was stolen from the owner's driveway last night. The owners were able to track the truck this afternoon and call police. A chase started and police eventually stopped the truck when 2 boys and 1 girl tried to run away. They were later detained by officers, and no word yet if any charges will be filed. Tonight, 1 student remains in the hospital following yesterday's 18-wheeler crash involving a school bus. This dash cam video shows the moments leading up to the crash and the aftermath. Police say the driver of the 18-wheeler ran a red light on 1604 and Highway 90. The bus was transporting students with Scobie Middle School from Southwest ISD. 6 students were taken to the hospital along with the bus driver. The district says the student who's in the hospital is in stable condition.
Tonight, addressing the nation from the Oval Office, President Biden says it is vital to U.S. national security to support Israel and Ukraine in their wars. The president says he is sending a funding request to Congress, which is expected to include $60 billion for Ukraine and $14 billion for Israel.
American alliances are what keep us, America, safe. American values are what make us a partner that other nations want to work with. To put all that at risk if we walk away from Ukraine, if we turn our backs on Israel, it's just not worth it.
The president's address comes just hours after the State Department issued a rare worldwide alert for Americans, saying terrorist attacks could be more likely due to international tensions.
New at 10, heartbroken for their homeland. 2 Israeli teenagers are in San Antonio for a year of service. It's a program run by the Jewish Federation. Just weeks after arriving in the Alamo City, Hamas launched an attack, sparking war between Israel and Gaza. In a Ken's 5 exclusive, the high school graduates sat down with reporter Hannah Tita. Hannah?
The 2 spoke about their desperate hope for peace back home, and right now the teenagers are helping to collect letters for Israel.
In Hebrew, tishmeru al atzmechem, which means stay safe.
Reading cards from middle schoolers, Yael Kanovich and Asaf Ben Abu can't help but get emotional.
I cannot describe this feeling.
The Israeli high school graduates deferred their army service for a year to volunteer abroad. The Shinshanim program brought them to San Antonio 7 weeks ago, where they visit synagogues and schools.
To help educate, talk about our history.
This was the Israel they left. Israel today is much different.
I feel like everybody in Israel knows at least one people who've been murdered or died in this war. From my high school, we lost 10 people.
It's a pain the 18-year-old wouldn't wish on anyone.
My heart is broken, but physically broken.
The 2 say they grieve for all victims of the war.
And I hope for this to end as soon as it can.
The head of the local Jewish Federation believes peace is possible.
That's why Israel is at war right now. They're trying to bring back those hostages. If the hostages were released, this would be over.
Yael and Asaf say Israel needs support right now.
My message for the San Antonio community is that we are really scared.
Support.
You fought for the warm embrace of your family.
Like this.
For the hate of Jews to end. So much love, San Antonio, Texas.
And the Jewish Federation of San Antonio says a suitcase of cards will be brought to residents and soldiers in Israel next week. If you want to help the Jewish Federation, visit jfsatx.org. And as for Asif and Yael, they just tell us that they'll be joining the Israel Defense Forces when they return next year. Henry?
Hannah, thank you for that report. Options on the table, but many of those options could be difficult for parents and teachers to face. Tonight, what Edgewood ISD is considering as it struggles with declining enrollment. Nate?
Henry, Friday night football on a Thursday. 3 weeks left of the regular season. Some teams looking to clinch berths, some teams looking to stay alive. Ryan Shoptaw, I've got all the highlights you need to see.
Good stuff, Nate. Thank you. All right, weather-wise, we have 90s in the forecast, but relief is on the way. The timing of our next cold front, that and more, it's coming up.